Hello, all. Thank you for joining us again on the Almost Brothers podcast. Hey, will you do us a favor? If this podcast has meant something to you and encouraged you, will you consider becoming a monthly supporter? You could do $3, $5, $8, or $10 a month. What this does is this helps financially support the podcast so that we can continue to put out content and help better serve you. So if you would, down in the show notes, you can click the link, support, and become a monthly member. We love you. New episode coming your way.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Almost Brothers podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about... What are we talking about?
Misunderstood.
I'm so misunderstood. Let's go. The theme song strikes again. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Well, as you heard from the background laughter, the ladies are here.
Hello, ladies.
How are y'all doing?
Hello.
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 The Missy, what is that? I don't know what that is. The shuffle dance thing.
He does it. That's mimic.
It's so funny. Oh, so how has y'all's day been?
Busy.
Busy? Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Busy.
Just staying busy. Mm-hmm. Hard workers.
Always.
I like it. I dig it. Well, we just sit back and enjoy the spoils. So I know before this episode went on and before I forgot, I just wanted to remind our listeners that my wife turned 35 this week.
It's over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go.
What?
Let it. And it's not
Happy
35. It's 29.
Oh, I'm 29 is what she's.
You're not helping.
I'm sorry. Okay.
You already failed.
Okay. Well, you're mid 30s. How does it feel?
I'm not. I'm 29.
The gray hairs are coming in?
No, they're not.
But they are.
No, they're not. It's bleach.
It's all right. That's what it is. Yeah,
toner.
I wanted it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, now she's like coming in the room, going to bed with like all kinds of chemical on her face. She's like, babe, don't touch my face.
Yeah.
I've got this. Well, I don't even know what it is.
Don't touch from the neck up.
Right. I like trying to give her a kiss. She's like, stop. I've got stuff.
And he's like, it burns. I'm like, yeah, I told you not to touch.
Don't make me make lines in my face. Like, what is happening right now?
It's the struggle.
Like, what is
Stop
that?
making me laugh. You're giving me wrinkles.
Right. I'm like, what is that
Right.
smell? It smells like burnt tires. That's my face stuff. Stop.
The whole house smells like it.
Oh my goodness. What in the world is happening?
It's a concoction that's still making me look 29. I don't know if it's helping, but
It is helping. You are
Whatever.
perfect.
I need to know what it is because I need to look 29 again.
it's a bunch of things. Clearly, if it
Like
smells like burnt
homemade
rubber,
homemade concoction of a bunch of
It
stuff.
just keeps people at a distance.
That's
Hey,
what
They don't see
it
what
really does. It doesn't really stop lines. It just
Right.
keeps people far enough to where they can't see the lines.
Hey, I'm game for that too.
I walk in, she's got a witch's cauldron. Just
I feel like that's what
these
it does.
lines
Like,
are gonna be gone.
yeah, I hope. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious, what is really happening? 35. I'm at 29
Yeah, there you go.
plus 6. So yeah, today's episode we're gonna be talking about, what are we talking about?
I don't know anymore.
I don't understand the question.
Oh, understand. Misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
Here we go.
Yeah, so we just want to talk about every aspect of our life, just misunderstood, maybe as, you know, our parents with our kids, like as couples, as married couples, in ministry, you know, just you know, times where maybe we've had to say something to somebody that may be under us, or say somebody that may be over us, that what we said maybe came across where, you know, it didn't kind of sit well, even though maybe it was, you know, not what we intended, but, or maybe where somebody else maybe said something to us where it, you know, it affected us where. And then it's almost like every time you go back to that, though, you go back to that person or whatever, and you kind of sit down and talk about it. It's like, oh, you come to, and you know, most of the time you come to an agreement. It's like, oh, okay, cool. that was way different than what I thought or had in my mind.
Right.
So yeah, let's just open
It makes me think of the sermons you've been teaching on about relationships with the youth.
Yeah.
And how like just anyone could be misunderstood, like in a girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse or parent, all that.
Yeah, and I think we put people on this pedestal of just never making a mistake, and as soon as they do, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. It's like, dang, are we not supposed to extend grace to others? Like everybody's gonna mess up. It's gonna happen. And we just ready to chop somebody off soon as they do something. But a lot of times it's just a misunderstanding.
Right. I think as parents, we're probably misunderstood by our kids a lot.
Ooh, come on.
Because they think that we're like some
my
evil
gosh, yes.
dictator that just doesn't want them to have any fun and wants them to stay at home and not see their friends. But, a lot of times you're just trying to protect them and trying to do what's best for them. But I think that's an area where there's probably some misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it happens less now that y'all are parents than when, say, y'all were kids. Because I think, parenting abilities have grown so much. We all are kind of better at parenting than our parents were, and it just keeps going and going. So I think that the misunderstandings now are so different than when we were kids.
Absolutely.
Kind of our parents don't understand where we're coming from. That's always going to be kind of the case. But, now with parents being more tuned in, especially like technology wise, to what their kids are doing, like for the most part, we know where they're at. We've got apps on their phones, or we've got things like that where we're monitoring their stuff. So I think a lot of the misunderstanding comes from kind of us growing up with some of this technology. So they don't understand that we know what you're doing. Like we're not, it's not like the age of our parents where they had no technology and then now we have some and they don't really understand, the ins and outs of it. But I think a lot of that misunderstanding comes from a kid thinking, oh, y'all don't know what you're talking about, when really it's like, no. I know how to get into your phone. I know how to get your passwords. I know how to do all that.
Yeah. They think we're stupid.
Right.
It's like, no, I am not. So
I am not at all. I know one big thing was for Lee, a big misunderstanding is like she would have something that she wants to talk to us about, or like she felt a certain way about, like I'd get on her, like I usually get on Lee pretty hard. So I remember one day she went and she talked to Mama Julie. What's up? Shout out. And she talked to her about the way I came down on her, and just how it made her feel bad and all this. And though what I came down on her about was right, it was correct, but I came about it the wrong way. And, as Mom told me about it, I got with Lee and talked to her, and she said, well, I'm always just so scared to come to you with something like that, or the way I feel, because I'm scared you're going to get onto me even more. So I know that was one where it really woke me up to realizing that not only does she have feelings, but she's very level-headed. So when she has something that's wrong with her, it's usually something that's legitimately like, oh, okay, I could have went about that better. We could have done something better that way. So I think that was one place of where she didn't understand, like, no, I want you to come to me. And maybe I didn't make it clear enough as a dad, like, hey, I want you to come to me with anything that you've got. I may have to come down on you. I may have to get on you, but I want you to share those things. I don't want you to hide things like I did for my mom.
yeah.
Because maybe she didn't understand as much, coming from a mother to a son, kind of the things that I felt, the things that I was going through, the things that I was dealing with, because Dad was overseas. So I think that gap in between, having two parents in the household, having one in the household, that dynamic, I think a lot of things kind of fell through the cracks with it, especially like when it came to sex talk. There was no sex talk in my house. It was, you don't do it. End of discussion.
Right.
And it's like, I think that's one area where we still struggle as parents in today's age on being understanding and coming across not just, hey, this is the do's and don'ts, but this is why you don't do it, especially from a biblical perspective on coming across like that. But is there any times in y'all's life that y'all could think of, like parenting, where it's just like, just a big misunderstanding of where it almost like shocks you, like, oh crap, I didn't mean for it to come off like that?
Missy?
You're the mom.
I'm just trying to think. I think for me, probably with my children, the biggest misunderstanding is whenever I was going through my divorce, and just I was feeling all kinds of ways, and going through a process of feeling like I lost everything, and then my children were as well, and so they had a lot of resentment towards me, and at that time when they were feeling that way, I was trying to just say, well, I'm the only one that's going through this. Y'all aren't,
Right.
and disregarding everything they went through, for a time, probably for a year, though, a solid year, I would say. And they were trying to talk to me, and here I was like, no, I don't want to talk about this right now. I would either shut down or things like that. And so now I'm having to deal with them coming to me about how they feel, and then it's like recognizing, like, wow, obviously I should have known at that time they were hurting,
Right.
and put my feelings to the side and just really focused on them. And I wish I could rewind the time and get that back. But for me, that was probably the biggest misunderstanding between my kids and myself of just processing emotions when things like that, like tragedy hits your family or trauma hits your family,
Right.
like being able to understand, like, okay, we all are hurting, and hurting people hurt people, and we've got to just come together and love each other all the more. And I wish I would have done things a little bit differently. I don't know if I'm even answering the question.
No, that's good. That's good.
But for me, that was probably the biggest misunderstanding, is just my kids realizing mama's hurting,
Yeah.
and then mama realizing my kids are hurting.
Yeah.
Instead of just pushing them aside and them pushing me aside. And
Right.
there was always like this, I don't know, it just, our home was not, for a good year, was not like a solid home.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just so much anger and so much bitterness and so much hurt. And like I said, I mean, if I could encourage anybody that's going through this right now, that maybe you're having trauma in your home, or you're going through a divorce, or you're, as parents, is to love on your children and just be open with them.
Right.
Look, I'm hurting too.
Right.
You're hurting too. Let's come together. Let's talk about this and let's get through it together, instead of just kind of doing a shutdown mode on all sides.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you. Because how old were your kids when?
Oh gosh, Ben was just in 6th grade. So I mean, he was in a crucial time. He was like 12.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Kaylee, my oldest, was 16, and then Betty was 14.
Okay.
So they were in high school, but I mean, and Max was just a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were just hit at a big time. But I mean, they just didn't just go through the divorce, but 2 years prior to that, their dad, they found out was a drug addict.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just all this
All at once.
junk. You
Right.
know, we went through 3 different rehabs with him, and seeing that. So we're hurt, just building upon build, and then finally just the walk away and leaving with absolutely nothing. And we were, I don't know, it was hard. And then seeing people walk away from you, and there was misunderstanding there.
Yeah.
Like of what do you do whenever you have a pastors like
Right.
fall from grace, or
Yeah.
or whatever, and then you have that misunderstanding because people are shocked, they're confused by it, or we've let them down. And then I had a few people that actually loved on my family, but for the majority it was not so much, know. And so there was misunderstanding there. So I had walls up, they had walls up, and so what do you do in those times?
Yeah.
So
Well, I think you hit on something so good too, is that the lack of communication, and that's what causes most of the time that misunderstanding, that lack of understanding where the other person's coming from. Because not only, like you said, is you didn't communicate with your kids and realize that they were going through something, and your kids were old enough at that point to realize, well, mom's going through something too. It's not just about us.
Right.
Like maybe we need to check on mom too. Maybe we need to, because I think that, as kids, we think everything revolves around us.
right.
And I think that's the biggest thing in that communication is allowing the kids to know, like, I understand you're hurting, but I need you to understand I'm hurting too.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when that healing starts. That's when that being able to understand both sides. So it's not just you, that oh, you didn't think about your kids, but they also didn't. They were old enough to understand mom's probably hurting through this too. Right. So to step up. And so I think it's both sides in that, and the same with us with, like I said, with Lee is kind of both of us knowing like Lee, you need to know where I'm coming from too. So I think that is a big thing, especially in the middle of that, like the divorce.
It is so under, I guess, I don't know, like communication is almost like it's something so simple, but us as, adults and children, I guess, we just think it's so complicated because we want to keep it in or we want to just keep everything we feel or, we want to say in. So it's like, I want to say this to someone or them or tell them how I feel, but it is so hard because how will they react?
Yeah.
Right.
And, of course, our fleshly desire wants to just think of our pain.
Yeah.
We don't want to think of others. We're like, well, I'm hurting. So how do I solve this? I don't care what they're going through. I want to focus on me, and my pain.
Right. I'm teaching this parenting class at New Beginnings, and it's hilarious that I'm even teaching the parenting class, to be honest with you. I laugh about it every day. Because but a couple of the lessons actually talks about communication, and it's so trivial, so simple, what they're telling you to do, but yet it's so profound at the same time. There's an area where it talks about when your kids are hurting or you're wanting to try to talk to your children, and a lot of times we will come at them with an attitude ourselves. At least I do. Ben will come home frustrated about work, and I'm like, "Suck it up, Buttercup.
Right.
Welcome to the real world."
Yeah.
And then he just goes on, because that's how I was raised.
Right.
You just suck it up.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, they have this literature that talks about reflective listening, and it's like where you're a mirror to them. And so you can tell, okay, they're frustrated, and all they want to know is to be heard. Just like we just want to be heard, they want to be heard.
Yeah.
And so you just reflect back what they're feeling. And I tried this on Ben, and I thought for sure, this is not going to work. I thought this is the corniest thing ever.
You're like, I'm going to try it.
But I'm going to try it. So he comes home. He's sitting at the table. I'm sitting at the table. Ben's making supper because he came home from work, and he was like, I just had a frustrating day and something about fries. And anyways, and so
Something about fries.
yeah, like he was putting fries down or something. He was trying to get other people to help, and they weren't helping. And my gut wrench reaction or my knee jerk reaction was to say, "Suck it up, bud."
Right.
Yeah.
But I stopped and I say, "Babe, I can see that you're really frustrated about work, and I can see that it's really bothering you." And I thought, this is not going to work. The boy starts talking.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding.
I watched it. I was just kind of like, what?
Yeah.
So I was like going,
rare.
what? He wasn't looking at me, so I could do the shock face.
Right.
Like, oh, this works.
Yeah.
And so I just kept going that reflection.
Yeah.
He talked for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes just because he thought Mom understands.
Yeah.
Mom's hearing me.
Right.
And
he
then
finally
he
figured it out. He's like, what's going on right now?
Like, wait a
yeah,
second.
he's like, why are you
What is
talking
this?
so weird?
Jedi mind.
Talking so
Jedi mind.
And then he goes
tricking me
into his
here.
room.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was it was just they want to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to be heard. And then they have another little tool that's called iMessages. And it was so funny because this literature is old. And so I was saying iMessages, and they're like, so text your kids? I'm like, no, that kind of message. But it's just like when it says everything comes back to how I feel. Like I am frustrated when you don't put the toys away. And it's just, it's not coming out, go put the toys away, but you're coming at it in a different angle. And it's just like, it was, I don't even know why this is, maybe for misunderstanding it.
Yeah.
It kind of
Right, yeah.
helps them to be, understood. And then it helps with that relationship that they, see, okay, Mom's understanding, Dad's understanding, and all this stuff. And it's helped with my communication with my 17-year-old. Because, before this, I was like hitting my head against the wall because,
Yeah.
just to get him to talk.
Right.
Right.
Because mostly I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But what he will come home, he'll just hiss at me or something. And I'm not even kidding. He will literally hiss at you and then go off, So he'll come to our door, and I'm not kidding. He goes, and I'm like, hey, Ben,
Gosh.
All
right.
Yeah, that was about it. But it has helped with that. And then even with Max, just this simple thing of really it's corny, but it works.
Yeah.
It really works because that's what everybody wants to be heard.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And understood.
And we get so many. I know for me, I'm sure for him too, because his phone is always blowing up. But I constantly get messages on, this age is so hard. I'm having trouble with my youth. This age is so hard. They're going through this, or this age is, and something so simple, just like that, just what you mentioned, like, just give them a hug, give them a 10-second hug. Like that's us as adults. If I get one, I start crying because I'm just falling apart.
Right.
Right. And they need that also. Like,
absolutely. Yes.
they go through it just as bad as we do.
Right.
Like they're in a whole world at high school to where we just have a job to where we're around adults. We can just shut them out. Just go on or put in some AirPods or whatever. And they have to deal with it. You're sitting in a classroom full of like 12, 15 other kids, if not bigger. And it's like, I'm surrounded. Anything I say, do might be a mistake or judged or bullied or just everything. So I think that's so good.
Absolutely.
Is to have that.
And, and I find that I even, like, I will explode. I'll have fits, adult fits, but they're okay. But my child has a fit, and I'm right down their throat.
Right, yeah.
And, and honestly, teaching this parenting class, I'm like, I'm learning some stuff.
Yeah.
Because,
this is for me.
It is. Every class, I'm just like, stepping on my toes. And, but, it's like, if we want our children to change, then they reflect what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
They are little sponges. And if you're getting upset with them for throwing a fit at a game or throwing a fit at TV or with a friend or whatever, and you're doing it, well, guess what? You need to start changing yourself before you can get on to your kids.
Yep.
And so that can even be misunderstanding.
Right.
The kids doesn't understand. Why are you getting on to me when you act just like that?
Right.
Exactly.
You acting a fool too.
Yep.
That's
good. Yeah, that is good. That's good.
Right.
That's one thing that I've had to catch myself with is reflecting kind of I do Frank's sit you down and have a 45-minute conversation, talk with you, or not even talk with you, but talk at you. I will have to catch myself because that's the way that he would talk to us instead of sitting down and asking like, what is going on with you?
right.
And then shutting up and listening. He would just talk at you. Why are you doing this? This is the road you should be taking. What are you doing? What's your 5-year plan? Let me tell you what your 5-year plan should be. Like
He sure does.
instead of like listening. But again, it's he didn't have that growing up. He didn't have that parenting thing. So it's like you learn, and through generation you take what was great out of your parents. His hard work, his dedication to providing for us. Take that. Maybe not his parenting style. Leave that. Change that. Same with mom. The most loving mother ever. Probably a little too over strict. Okay, I'm going to leave that and take the. So I think that the growing and the communication between us and our kids will be able to take the things that we learned from our parents and maybe teach them. But I think a lot of times we want to do it by watch what I do instead of let me communicate it to you and kind of give you the right ways to do it.
It's good.
Which I know it's got to be hard for you stepping in as a stepdad.
It's different. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
We've talked about it, kind of finding that in between. Have you ever? I've always wondered this because I can't remember what movie it was we were watching. Or it might have been a show. Oh, it was a clip from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Will and his Uncle Phil were going off. His dad showed up after all these years, and Phil's trying to tell him he's not a good guy, and he tells Uncle Phil, the man who helped to raise him, like, you're not my father anyway, blah blah blah. Have you ever been hit with that?
I don't think so. Not yet.
As soon as I seen it, I was like, oh my goodness, I could not imagine.
Yeah, no, I haven't been hit with that one.
Being like and then just hit with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure it's been thought.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Why are you telling me
They're
you
too
ain't-
scared.
It's not been said. No, I really, like with Ben, we get along pretty good. He frustrates me, but we kind of have an understanding with one another. I mean, I know I stepped in late in his life, and he, I think he respects me and cares about me, and I same way with him. I love him. And with Max, he's just so much smaller. That I'm dad to him.
Right.
And that's just what he knows. So there isn't that.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a little more flexibility there with him because I just try not to go there sometimes with Ben because I know I'm not his dad. You know what I mean? And but with Max, I'm the only dad he got. So,
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So you like it or not,
Yeah.
you're stuck with me.
Here I am.
For a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that answers that question, they've never said it, like I said, and I get along great with them, you know, and they're good kids. So no, they've never thrown that in my face. I don't know how you respond to that.
Right. Oh,
you know
dude.
what I mean?
Oh man. Like I could just feel like I felt bad. Like I could just feel the hurt in that. Just
that's what I mean. I know it would hurt. It would hurt really bad, because you're the one there every day, putting in the time and money and
I
everything
love
else
that
pouring into them.
from an outside person, because we live in Malden, we see out here, but you can literally like feel it and see that Ben has respect for you.
Yeah.
Because I mean, ever since we've known y'all, that's always been. Yeah. You can just see it.
Right.
Like he's never even had to say it. You can just see how he like respects you and.
Well, it helps that he has an amazing man to look up to. Somebody that's there, that's present, that loves them, that you almost got it all. You know what I mean? Like you've got the discipline right here. Oh,
that's sweet.
Oh God. I mean, just like literally, like just kind of like you see it on 2K, like a basketball player that's kind of got the attributes and everything, and you're kind of there. You've got the, it's so I think it makes it a lot easier on them, having such a great male in their life. I know one thing that I was thinking about as we were talking about this is I wanted to switch over to relationship misunderstandings. And I remember
what?
This
we're doing so good.
This was
right.
this was one that really I had to step back and say, oh crap, I did something bad.
What'd you do?
Is when
now
you're about to find out.
Yeah, and you'll remember, and I'm glad I'm an arm's length away. No, I remember I was so frustrated one day. This is when I was still working at WW Wood, and Jamie was staying at home. So this is before she went to her current job. And I was so frustrated with just work and people and stress and heat and all this stuff going on. And we kind of talked about this on our other one where just I felt like I couldn't get out what was on the inside. So I came home and just blew up one day, and it was on her. And I remember just going off, just like, I remember saying, like, you don't do anything. You sit here at the house and you don't do nothing. And I'm busting my tail. I'm tired of it. I can't take it anymore. And I remember she starts crying and just like breaks down. And first of all, of course, when she starts crying, I'm like, oh crap.
I don't remember that.
Like I've messed up. I'm
I
glad.
must have just blocked you out after that.
I'm glad. But
back to the day.
I remember that, she broke down, and I mean, it was a pretty bad hurt, and she went outside and was trying to leave, and she was crying in the car, and it was rough. It was pretty rough. And I remember that later on that night, it was almost like God in the room with me, just like, you goofed up. It's okay that you were feeling that way, but the communication was way off. Yes, you have a reason to be upset. Yes, you were at work and you had a bad day. That's not her fault. You're projecting your anger and the things that you're dealing with on her when it wasn't her. You know what I'm saying? So I almost blocked out how she was feeling because of how I was feeling. I didn't think about what she had done that day. I didn't think about the house cleaning that she done. I didn't think about the kids that she's had to deal with. I didn't think about the stresses in her life that she's going through. I didn't think about anything but what I was going through that day. And I remember that day, it was almost a change in my attitude, not only towards my wife, but my attitude. And when I have a problem with somebody or I have a problem in a situation, on how to handle it. You may be saying the right things, like your underlying problem that you have may be correct, but the way that you say it can be completely off. And I remember another time after that where I really caught myself in the middle of it. And before it got too bad, I realized it. And I'm like, oh man, maybe I'm growing a little bit, man. Okay. So it was like her.
Is he growing, Jamie?
No. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Man. No, but I
He's
remember.
still my fourth child.
Michael Simmons, age 5. And I remember I was going off on my sister and her husband because they skipped out on her birthday. I got a birthday dinner together and they skipped out on it, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going off on them. And I walk out of the house and I get in the car and I'm like, I'm right to be upset. The way I just did that, I'm going off on them in front of their kids. We're going at it. Me and her ex-husband are face to face. I mean, I'm mad. And I go back in, I say, I want to apologize. I went about that the wrong way. And I didn't take into effect anything y'all had going on. I'm mad. I'm upset. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for what I said, but I'm sorry for how I said it. You know, I think a lot of times we could stop those misunderstandings from happening if we just realize that we may be right. We may be in the right, but maybe come about it a different way. Maybe try to approach it a different way. Yeah. Maybe try to say it where you're not automatically defensive. So that other person automatically goes on defense. Like, wait, whoa, don't raise your voice at me. Before you even get across what you're trying to get across, you're automatically putting them on the defense.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever came to that to where it's like, whoa, I may be in the right, but the way I said it is maybe not the best way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just open up nowadays, if you just open up Facebook and you see something and you're like, oh no, Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Backspace. I'm like, oh, I need to pray for them. Yeah. Hold my tongue.
Yeah.
So I always think about that first. I'm like, all right, I know that's in the wrong, but I'm just going to pray for them.
Yeah.
And go about my day. But,
that's good.
Yeah, because I mean, social media will offend you and, say your beliefs are wrong and, have you really up in your feels.
Yeah. And that's one of the best ways of being misunderstood is putting something in words on something like that, because people don't know context. People don't know the sound of your voice.
Yeah.
Like, if you're angry, if you're joking. Sure. So I think that happens a lot is seeing a post and then all of a sudden, oh no, they didn't.
Yeah. Or a text.
Or a text.
Yeah. It could be as simple as a text. I mean, there's sometimes where he'll send me a text and I'll be like, I didn't like how that sounded.
Yeah. Didn't sound anyway.
Didn't sound anyway.
Right.
You had no punctuation in that.
Or I'm really bad. I'm probably the Michael in our relationship, of what I'll hold things in, and then a little itty bitty thing will like set me off.
Yeah.
Instead of communicating what's really going on. Like last night, I'll tell on myself. Ben was annoying me. Imagine that, and I just went off on him. And I mean, it was probably 4 years in the making.
Yeah.
Of stuff that I've held in that he has done. That I just erupted.
Right.
And like you said, it was all true.
Yeah.
And it was all stuff that needed to be said, but how I said it was completely off base. And he came into my room, like I let him have it basically. Even with tears, but yet not that ugly crying. Like I didn't do that. Yeah. But I mean, I was just like, and it exploded. And then I came back to my room and just laid down. And he comes into my room at the door and just looks at me. And just, that's all. And then turns around and leaves. And just him doing that I know what he was saying.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say a word.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say a word. Part of it was like, Mom, where'd that even come from? And then the other part was like, Mom, I heard you.
Yeah.
And even though he did that, he understands or whatever, I failed in that, failed in that test that I should have been communicating 2 years ago.
Right.
2 years ago, instead of, I'm really bad about letting my children beat me up.
Right.
I really am.
Yeah.
And just, letting me have it over things. And because I feel like, okay, they just need to let it out. They just need to let it out. Well, it's year 4 now. It's year 5 now. They don't need to be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I really didn't do it well.
Yeah.
And learning from it, like don't hold stuff in. you know, and it may not be appropriate to even say what you're feeling at some point, but get it out some way.
Yeah.
Journal, pray, you know, I'm big on journaling out my feelings, you know, I really can't stand this person, blah, 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 you know, but if you look at the Psalms, David is all about that, you know, he's like, go after my enemies, God, kill them all, you know, and he kind of turns it around and says, you know what, whatever you want though, God, I'll praise you because you are, you know, loving kindness and all this stuff. But there's something about just letting it out in some way. Find a good person a support team.
Yeah.
That you can talk to,
Is,
other than your husband.
You know,
Sometimes you
he don't like crying. He don't like crying. Don't cry.
No, I know. I start crying and he leaves the room.
He's like,
no,
gotta go.
that's
and I'm just going after him, going, love me, just hold me.
This is for those of y'all that may be listening. No, they didn't hear the other episode yet, but y'all are right on what we just talked about.
Talked about that.
Like word for word.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's just we're so, as humans, as parents, as leaders, as all these things, we want to bottle it up because we don't want people upset at us.
Right.
Somebody could smack us in the face and most of us would take it.
Right.
Oh, that's okay. It's fine. You know.
Yeah. Cause I think especially in leadership in ministry, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, another way you can be misunderstood is by putting on that front that I am strong and I have it together and I don't need help. Yeah. Then people won't approach you because they don't know that you have a weakness or a problem or a flaw or whatever.
Yeah.
So that sometimes is shooting ourselves in the foot when we wear that mask or we put on that facade like we talked about earlier. Yeah. Then people misunderstand us and think we have it all together.
Yeah.
When we don't. And so I don't know.
Right.
That's good.
I get that a lot because like he always has, you know, the microphone and back here. So, you know, the youth always knows his testimony and knows the story, but I don't have the microphone. Like I'm not up there all the time. So it's so important for me to connect with them one-on-one because like I'm not up there. Y'all don't connect with me on a up there, you know, preaching level. So I don't want them to ever feel like they can't come to me.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm off here, you know, just being quiet and I'm a preacher's wife and no, like I have faults too. Come and tell me what you're going through. Like, so I always have to reaffirm them, like tell them that.
Yeah.
Or have a connection with them.
Is this you volunteering to preach next week? Yes or no?
What? No. Oh. Are you going to be sick or something?
Maybe.
I mean, I was going to tell you I'll do a
come on,
tag off, but I don't know. I don't know yet.
I like it.
God put it on my heart, so I don't know how I feel about it right
That's
now.
what I'm talking about.
We're wrestling.
Let's go.
We're wrestling.
You just released it.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Oh,
we'll see.
That's what I'm
to
talking
be continued.
about. That's what I'm talking about. And I know I've been consuming a lot of like leadership stuff. I'm reading a lot more and just like leadership podcasts and stuff like that. And I know one almost common thread, no matter who I'm listening to, who I'm reading, is anybody that you're leading or that you're over or ministry or literally anything, what is allowed to happen by you by sweeping it under the rug is what is going to continue to happen to you. Right. You know, so we get so frustrated with how things are going and how things are ending and how things, you know, aren't growing, or we keep, you know, struggling with the same things. And it's like, but we've let that happen time and time again. So it's the bar for your team is only going to be set as high as you set it.
That's right.
So that's your fight. If they're not reaching to the level you want them to, it's because you've set the bar so low. Right. And we've got to get better at our communication on letting people know, like, hey, maybe we need to fix this. Maybe we need to work on this.
Absolutely.
You know, and
you can't lead people further than where you're at.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, we have to continue to grow. We have to continue to strive. We got to continue to seek, because if we want, you know, our leadership or our team or whoever we're raising up, or our children, then we're going to have to push ourselves to go, because we can't push them further.
Yeah, that's
you know, we got to do that too. So I mean, it's the call of God. It's such a heavy call. It's such a heavy thing. It's I mean, really should not be taken lightly, because with it comes such, it sounds like a great responsibility.
Spider-Man.
But really it does. I mean, because whenever you're in leadership, the attacks are greater.
Right.
Yeah.
The microscope is on you. You're living in a glass house, all that stuff. So, and we can look at that and like, well, why do we have to live like that?
Yeah.
Well, God's called you to that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the glass house is for a reason. People shouldn't be throwing rocks at you or whatever like that. But at the same time, you better believe living the way that you should be living,
Right.
like he wants you to live.
Transparent.
So that, if a rock is thrown, it's not going to crash anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And trust me, I've been there.
Right.
I wish I would have exposed things long
Right.
before I did. But you just think you can keep all this stuff together, and then eventually, I tell you, the something's going to break because the truth's going to come out.
Right.
But
And I think that in that sanctification process that we're in, we're supposed to live pure, and be accountable. And people can hold us accountable, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not unfair that something is expected out of me that's not expected out of Joe Christian, who's only been saved for 8 weeks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yes, there should be much more expected from me.
Yeah.
If I've been in this walk for a while. So, you shouldn't. I mean, if anybody is feeling that way, don't feel like it's unfair.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
absolutely fair.
Yeah.
God called you to be sanctified.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
go
Set
from
apart.
glory to glory to glory. So you do not get comfortable. You don't reach any level and just plateau there and stay
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
You are growing until the day that you die.
Yep.
Amen.
And the Bible says those teachers and leaders and preachers are held to a higher standard.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You can be mad at it. You cannot like it
Can't
all you
argue
want.
with it.
Then don't do it. I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. Then just don't. Like, if
And-
you don't want to be held to that and live up to that, just don't do it.
And who are the preachers and teachers? Everyone.
Yeah.
We all are.
Right.
We all are.
Get to
If
it,
you're a
man.
parent and if you're a friend
Yeah.
to somebody, you're to be teaching them and bringing
Yep.
them along and discipling them. So
Yeah.
we're all called to
Gotta
that
step it
standard.
up.
Come on.
Let's step it up.
Yeah. And I think that's a big facade in the church nowadays, is that we have to act like that. What we were talking about earlier. So we have to put on that facade that we're perfect and everything's right and our house is amazing and we have it all together, when really we have like nobody to, like, they're going to judge us if I tell them,
Yeah.
I'm going through this. How are they going to look at me? Are they even going to pray for me? No, they'll probably go tell so-and-so.
Yeah.
And
And we deal with that a lot as women. I
Yeah,
mean, women,
yeah.
we can be like, horrible
Exactly.
to each
Yeah.
other, and I've dealt with that probably all my life, being misunderstood.
yeah.
Just because I'm quiet. And
Yep.
so then I'm stuck up.
Yep.
Or then you put in, okay, now she's a preacher too.
Yeah.
So then she's unapproachable.
Yeah.
And so it's
Right.
hard to get even people to I'm going to start crying, get close to
No,
me.
that's good. Yeah.
That's very good.
Or I even have friendship
Yeah.
because they like hold you out.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're just like, hey, I'm just a human.
Yeah.
Right.
And not to say that I pat myself on the back or like I'm holier than thou, because I hope I don't
Right.
come across as that. But it's like, oh, I can't talk to her or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
in leadership, it's very hard to even get friendship.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very rare to have people that want to get to know you or anything like that. So, but then you throw in the woman
Yeah.
in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It's like it's another level.
I have had people actually, I don't even know if he remembers this, but they have, prophesied over him and laid hands on him. And then when it got to me, because he's the preacher, he's loud, bold. Okay, that's fine. But when it comes to me, what do you want us to do?
Right.
Like, okay, well, I prophesied over you.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've just been like, okay, well, I guess I have no call in my life, but he's a preacher, so
Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to be one,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Right.
I have had that so much in ministry, so much. Like, I have had people invite him to places to, so-and-so's preaching, so-and-so's getting baptized, so-and-so's getting ordained. Come along. And I have been like, all right, well, am I invited?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just because I'm a quiet woman that I don't have a microphone,
Right.
all the time. So do I have to have one
No.
to be looked up to as a leader? So I totally get that.
Right.
And I think I have pushed women aside because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a lot of friends in ministry. It's just us back there really, you know,
Right.
and our leaders that help us. But, you know, it's kind of just like a standoff thing. Like
Yeah.
I can't come to
Absolutely.
you like that,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Well, because there's two things that you run into a majority of the time in ministry is you've got people that either think you're unapproachable, so they don't even try to get to know
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
or you've got people that just want to use you for what they can get
Oh,
out of you.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
right.
I have people like will literally come up to or I'll hear from a distance. Jeremiah's really nice. And then not a word about me.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not even getting that happened yesterday.
Yes.
yeah.
It happened yesterday. And I'm just like, okay, hey, I'm here too.
And that's a big
You know?
misunderstanding.
Right. Absolutely. I'm like, I'm nice too.
Right.
I mean, I
I
smile
thought you were
all the
gonna say
time. Like he
Jeremiah's
does.
not nice.
Right.
Right.
Like he is not. I'm the nicer one.
Right? But I want to talk to anybody that feels like that.
Right.
That is a woman. You know, yes, we're called
Right.
as a team.
Right.
You know, he's called into the ministry. Michael's called into
Yeah.
the ministry. He's the preacher. But we have a separate calling ourselves.
Right, right.
And we are just as valuable. We are
Right.
just as anointed.
Yep.
We are just as called as our husbands.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we have a plan too. And God has a plan for us. And you know, it's not just about men.
Right.
I'm sorry, but there's women in the Bible that have done amazing,
Oh, yeah,
amazing
absolutely.
things that are even quoted in the faith chapters of Hebrews 12.
Yeah.
So just, you know, women can do things. We can do things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not to say that I love our pastor because he allows me to preach on Wednesday
Right,
nights.
right.
And that is rare in the
Yeah.
in the ministry.
Oh, it
You know,
is.
because you look at women and you think they can't preach. And then they quote a verse that is so out of context that
Yeah.
women should be quiet in church.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally out of context.
I know. I get that all the
And
time.
so anyways,
Hey, I
could-
think this would be a really good time for y'all to talk about the women's ministry.
Yeah.
Let's keep this girl power
Right.
thing going.
Keep it going.
Right.
Girl, not girl power.
A girl power. I like that.
Yeah.
It is though.
But you two are both on kind of the board of that or the
Yeah.
inner circle,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
inner circle.
inner
What do you call
No,
it?
there is no inner circle.
What do y'all do?
What do you call it?
Freemasons over here?
I
Like,
don't
what's
know.
going on?
I
The
don't
round
know.
table.
Y'all are the one that passed the Kool-Aid out. That's all
we have been knighted.
That's funny.
No,
go
there's
ahead.
just a few of the ladies that are coming together, and pastor had asked us to start a women's ministry because it's needed just
It is.
just to get to know
It is.
each other and to fellowship and to build upon it,
Yeah.
and so that this misunderstanding of women can
Exactly.
go out of the wayside. Like we don't have to deal with it anymore because Lighthouse Church, we don't have that
Right.
issue.
Right.
And
We don't want that issue.
Amen. Yes.
Right.
You want to share what's happening?
Yeah. We're meeting and then we're going to decide a date, right? Is the date February 6th?
I believe so,
Okay.
yeah.
February 6th, we're going to have it here at the Lighthouse and we're going to have like, a devotional. We're going to have prayer. We're going to have like games, food, and just a bunch of fun. Like we're going to meet people. I think, I'm not for sure, but are we doing a speed dating game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
It's going to be like speed dating where you sit down and you like
It's just took
have
a left turn.
have a couple minutes to
Yes, it
tell.
did. We are that church.
I really don't know the details.
Very progressive here.
I don't know if it's going to be sectioned off or you get to meet your
haven't really
mate.
decided.
That is
Yeah.
so funny.
Meet your mate or something. I don't know. I don't know.
So funny.
But it sounds fun.
You're going to find your new best friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen. Yes.
Besties.
I think it's
Yeah.
awesome.
You can braid each
Yeah.
other's hair.
And I don't think that that's something that's like just, you guys are dealing with here. I think that's a lot
Oh,
of churches.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
women, the men seem to get along well. I mean,
Yeah.
guys get together, they
Right,
talk about sports,
right.
fishing, whatever, golf. You know
And
what I
y'all
mean?
could
Yeah.
just go
Kinda
about
get-
y'all's day
Yeah.
and then just catch
for-
up.
It just
Yeah.
seems like from a man looking
Right.
upon it, it's like there's something there in between women that's kind of judgy and,
Yeah.
and whatever.
Very
and-
much so. It's very competitive.
Yeah,
It
competitive.
is.
That's,
It's
that's the
weird.
word. Maybe judgy is not the word, but
Yeah.
competitive.
No,
is-
judgy too.
Okay.
I would say.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that.
And we want to put that aside. We want
Yes.
to put that
I think
away.
that's awesome.
And
I think that's
And
gonna
what
be
it is,
great.
I think people have a misconception and a misunderstanding to think that number one, that the man or whatever does it by himself, or that's his calling that he does on his own without the help of his wife
Right.
or girlfriend.
Right.
There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that allows whoever it is that goes out to be able to even do that, to be able to study for a Wednesday night message there's so much that goes into it, that she has the kids, that she's getting dinner, that she's doing all these things around it, that she's praying for me, that she's coming to me, as service is about to start. Hey, what do you need? Setting this up, setting that up, that people don't see.
Yeah.
So that's one misunderstanding. And the second misunderstanding that happens a lot, especially in the church house, is that a woman's calling is her calling and her man's calling. That's wrong. The woman has her calling on her own that is specifically tailor-made just for her. Yes, you are a unit, but you work alone. You've got something that God has for you that I cannot do. That I cannot. All I can do is help you and help push you into that. Same for you, Missy. There's something that's called for you that has nothing to do with that man right there.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. There was something that God called you to be before you were born that you're going to walk in. He's there to help you. He's there to support you. He's there to push you. But you know what? If he wasn't there, that calling would be the same.
Are you going to come say that at our women's meeting?
Right.
Oh, I can do it. Now I can get to the ladies.
Why don't you have your women's ministry listen to our podcast?
All right.
Advertisement. We'd like to time out this quick time to just advertise Almost Brothers.
I'm telling you, man. And I think that's the way a lot of women say. You see so many single women with a call on their life that think that first I got to get married first.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Sure. We went to, back when I was 18, 19, there was a college called Central Bible College.
Yeah.
But it was actually like nicknamed Bridal College.
Yeah.
Because that was like women would go there, men would go there, so they find their love connection and go off into ministry.
Right.
I mean, it literally was called Central Bridal College, instead of we each have our own calling, and we're good as a team.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
God has
You'll have a
something
calling
gifting.
together.
Yes,
but you also have
absolutely.
individual ones,
Absolutely.
man. And like you were saying about the women in the Bible, the first evangelist was a woman.
Right.
Mary saw an empty tomb and went and told everybody. Let's look at the woman at the well who just went nuts, and the whole town got saved because of what she was saying. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus knew that word "get around."
Oh, man, right. You dang right, man.
Is that a joke? You've been waiting.
I think he was waiting like the whole podcast. For
Literally.
That came right off.
He's like, I can't wait to tell this joke.
Man, that was actually just.
Well, it's just good. It's just, and it's so true. Like it's crazy that that what happens is we perpetuate these misunderstandings and we think that they're true. Right. Because it's how we've always known it. It's all how it's always been. So that must be true. And what is it where you see something where like a majority of people think it's one way, but it's really another? Mm-hmm. It's a Mandela effect. That's what it's called. Where you think something is. I know one is Darth Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father." That's not what he says. Everybody thinks that. It's no, I am your father. That's the quote.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
there's no
exactly.
Luke. There's no Luke.
He doesn't say, "Luke, I am your father." He says, "No, I am your father."
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So we go about this, especially as women and as churches, is that it's always been that way. The man does the work, the woman stays behind the scenes and helps cook and helps organize and do this. Y'all better wake up. Y'all gonna be a dried up church here pretty soon. I'm just saying. Better get rid of that misunderstanding right now. Get that out your head.
That's why I need to plug our church because Lighthouse does so much and allows women to fulfill the calling. You look at Tina, and all that she does.
Oh yeah.
And then all the other ladies in the church that help run it and stuff like that. And one of the things, the women's ministry, I'm so excited about because coming into Lighthouse, I never felt like I was an outsider.
Yeah.
Right.
There's women weird stuff, that's going to happen everywhere just because I'm a woman. But for to walk in and actually feel like, okay, I'm a part of the family. I think Pastor and Tina do such an amazing job in that. And it's just to plug our church, but it is a church unlike I've ever been.
Yeah.
And I've been in several churches and I've been pastors of several churches. And still, I've never seen a church quite like this one.
Man, speaking of, Pastor Tina, you talk about like encouraging somebody.
Right.
That woman's on another level. Like you'll get done preaching or doing something, and she'll just come up to you and just like drop encouragement on you and dip like
so fast.
Right.
and it's like you didn't have to do that. Like she could have very easy, hey, good job, and but like no, like stand there and just encourage you. Oh man, that was awesome. That was fire. Like and just really encourage you, and then just like it's like wow, like you don't see that, and I don't think she understands the weight that has on people.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think she understands how the atmosphere in your life can change just from that. Just from somebody like that coming up to you and just encouraging. It's just like, oh yeah, I feel so much better. Because most of us, after we get done doing something, automatically, as soon as we get done, we start down. Oh, I should have said this. I should have done this. I should have done it this way. So to have somebody like that come up to you, it's like, and I don't think, I hope she's listening, because that does wonders. It's crazy.
Right.
I haven't even done anything, and she always encourages me.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
Like she's just.
It's so awesome. But you have. Don't say that.
Well, I mean, I'll just be in the kitchen, and
That's
she's just-
something.
That's a lot.
I'll be walking. Like she's like, "Hey, I'm like, oh.
Hey, that walk. That's a woman of God walk right there. I'm telling you, man. It's so good.
Man. Got anything else?
Y'all got anything else?
No,
That's good
I
stuff.
don't think.
It's good. Very good.
Good stuff.
Love it when you guys are here.
It's fun.
yeah.
It's fun.
So,
maybe. I think. I don't know.
It was a good time.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Love it.
I laugh a lot at y'all's expense. Y'all too.
That's what we're here for.
I'm glad we could be of some use.
Yep. It's our purpose.
Well, and end this out.
Love to. This has been another episode of what are we called again? Almost Brothers. Yeah, Almost Brothers. Michael and Jeremiah, Missy, Jamie. Remember, if you don't have a home church, check us out at the Lighthouse in Dexter. 8:30 outside in the parking lot, 10 o'clock inside. We love y'all.
You're 35.